Hey, hello and welcome everybody to this next part where we'll dive a little bit deeper into this whole shading texturing thing. And I did set up a little test scene so you don't have to adjust anything anymore. It's just a simple HDRI, the same HDRI that we used before, and the little small model that I did put together so we can see a little bit better what's going on in the scene and with the material basically. So like I said, with this tutorial I want to dive a little bit deeper into this shading texturing thing, and this is what we will do right now. So first of all, we could create some kind of silver material. So let's go shader V-Ray advanced material, and as we already know, we go diffuse layer, turn this here to completely black, and then we go specular layer 1, turn this on, bring up the Fresnel, maybe it's something around 10 for silver, I would say is fine. And the reflection glossiness maybe a little bit down, maybe to 0.87, so it's not full reflective. So we have a little bit of kind of blurry reflections as well going on. And maybe here the subdivisions we should already set to 64, otherwise we will probably get some noise in the material. And then we just simply drag and drop this over the cube. We'll just simply overwrite this material here. And we can also delete this polygon selection. What that is, I will explain later on when we really start with production shots and stuff like that. So let's just simply go render region here. Here, render region, then just simply drag it out. So we're just simply rendering a region. And this is what you get when you do nothing else and just simply setting up the silver material. So that's, I don't know, just a simple basic material. So it will look pretty clean, of course. But in the end, in the real world, materials are not always 100% clean. Because I don't know, let's imagine a handrail. Let's say, okay, there was a new train station built and there is also a new handrail and you're going down there for the first time and this handrail is completely clean. When you take your hand on this handrail and touch it, you will make it, just because of your skin, you will just simply make it a little bit dirty. And then imagine 1,000 people are walking down those stairs every day and everyone single of them are just simply touching it. So this means that this handrail becomes dirtier and dirtier, and where the handrail is dirtier, it will just simply be a little bit more blurry. And where the handrail is a little bit cleaner, we will just simply have more reflections or cleaner reflections. And this is exactly, I mean, not always, really depends also on the client. What he is aiming after. But let's say we're building some kind of interior or exterior shot and want to make it a little bit realistic, then we definitely should also go for a little bit of a dirty look. We don't really need much, to be honest, but a little bit couldn't really hurt, to be honest. So what we can do to achieve this kind of dirty look on the silver material is we can load here a map, maybe a map that we downloaded from somewhere, or a map that we created on our own. I have prepared one map, and we definitely need a black and white map, so that's really important. So I will just simply go load image, and then I will just simply search for my image, and I will go for some kind of scratches here. So just simply load the map. And what's happening now, if we're looking at this preview here, it's really simple. Let's just simply wait a little bit for this to load. Is that takes a little bit longer than I thought. Sorry about that. Let's maybe let it render a little bit more so you can see this better. I will just simply pause the video. Alright, so here we go. And as you can see, we have here some scratches. What this map is basically doing, it's telling V-Ray with its black and white values that everything where it's 100% white, we will get a glossiness of 1.0. And everything where it's 100% black, we will get a glossiness of 0.0 or 0.0. And every single grayish color in between will be just simply the value that the grayish color is. So we can, if we put a colorizer over this, so we just simply go, click this little arrow here, go colorizer, then we jump in here, and then we drag. I'll just simply click it one time and then drag it down this knob, and then just simply leave the left mouse button and turn this yellowish knob here to white. What we can do, that we can determine what kind of glossiness we want to have, or what kind of glossiness difference we want to have. So I can just simply change this slider here, this black slider, and make everything a little bit more black that is already black in the picture, and drag down this white slider so I get a little bit more whites in the picture. And this is what the picture looks right now. Okay? What I can do now is I can jump into this black value here, and here in the V value I can change between completely white and completely black. So if I type in here, let's say, okay, everything where scratches are, it should be less reflective, because there it's touched and it's used, so we have there less reflections. So what we can do is just simply type in here maybe a value of 67, and this means now a glossiness of 0.67 everywhere where the scratches are aligned on our handrail. And the lining we can just simply do, if we jump in here, we can do it with UV unwrapping, which we will do later, or we just simply go in here and then set this here to cubic, cylindrical, flat, and so on. And with these coordinates here, with length U and length V, we can change around this behavior. I will show you this in a second. And here in the whites, I don't really want to have the whites to be 100% reflective at all. I want to have this because this handrail is basically a little bit more blurry, but at the white parts, it should have, or where it's really clean, it should be still a little bit blurry, not because it's touched, just because it's the material itself. I want to have a value of 87, so 0.87 glossiness here. And this is how we can determine where we want to have, or what kind of glossiness we want to have for the scratches, and what kind of glossiness we want to have for the handrail where it's not touched. So what I can do now is just simply I go double click here, down here, open up a normal Cinema 4D material, go in the color channel, which is basically the diffuse channel of Cinema 4D, go load image, load the exact same picture, scratches, and drag it here onto the cube. And what is happening now is basically I can see how these scratches are aligned. I only need to get rid here of this polygon selection, sorry, that was still in there. Just simply delete this away, hit enter, and then we should see how this is aligned. And right now, it doesn't really look too good if you see. It gets duplicated a lot, and this is because of my settings. So we change the settings here. We leave cubic on, but we change the settings here maybe to 100 and 100. And this way we can move our map around. This looks too big to me, so we go maybe, I don't know, let's go 30-30. Okay, maybe go a little bit lower. Let's maybe go 15-15. Yeah, looks a little bit better to me. And then we could also rotate this map around here, as you can see. We can rotate it like this, and so on and so on. So this is possible as well. And let's maybe just leave it like this. And this is how we align our text. Now we know exactly where on this handrail, or in this case on the cube, where the scratches will be. So I always use a normal Cinema 4D material, because this is just a matter of the viewport, because sometimes you don't see the material that is in the V-Ray shader. So we need to use a normal Cinema 4D material to see first of all, okay, what's going on, how are the scratches aligned, and then we just simply leave everything there, so cubic, the rotation, and cubic 15-15, and then we just simply override it with the V-Ray material that we just created, and it gets aligned exactly the same way. So we have the scratches exactly how we see it now in the scene. So let's overwrite this, and let's make a test render, and let's see what we get here. I will just simply make a full render, pause the video, so you can see this a little bit better. Alrighty, so this is what we get. Don't mind this little burned out area here. It just simply seems that the light hits this spot here too hard and the silver material goes a little bit nuts. And also we have a little bit of an anti-aliasing issue here on this side. We would need to fix this as well. This is probably because of this harsh light, of course. Here we would probably need to turn the filter on to get rid of this. But doesn't really matter. As you can see, here we have a really, really nice scratched material now. So it definitely looks used. But we can say, okay, how much I want to have this dirty. Right now it looks like really scratched and really dirty. But if we don't want to have so much difference between dirty and not, we can just simply jump back into our material that we just created and say, okay, this is just, the scratches are simply too much. That's just too much. Then we jump into our black value here where the scratches are located, and first of all, we check the value here. So we have a glossiness of 0.87. So what we can do, we just simply go closer to 0.87. So I don't know, let's maybe go 80 here. So we only have like 0.07% difference now. So where it's really dirty, we have 0.8 glossiness, and where it's really clean, we have 0.87 glossiness. Okay, so let's render again, and let's see what we get. Alright, so you can see now what this looks like. So here we have the scratches with a value of 0.67 in the glossiness, and here we have the scratches with a value of 0.80, and as you can see, it goes closer and closer to the original silver material. And one last test, if we would this now simply set to the exact same gray value, so we set this here to 87 as well, you will see that all the scratches are simply gone. But I mean, probably pretty clear to you, but I just simply want to demonstrate to you what kind of impact this has. Alright, so here you can see what we got now. So it's just simply looks like a normal silver material now. So 0.67, 0.8, and this is what we get with 0.87. So we have no difference at all anymore. And this is how you can get some dirt into your materials, and this can come in really handy, because when a picture just simply looks too perfect, the human eye will always recognize that something just isn't right, you know. And this is how you can determine most of the time, or can tell if it's a render or if it's not a render. And nowadays the renderings are really so good that most of the time you can't really tell that it is a rendering. And this is exactly what we should be aiming for, because we want to go as realistic as we can get. So, and this is definitely one more step in the right direction, you know. Okay, so what we also could do, maybe let's change this black value here back to 0.67. So 67 here in the gray value. What we could do as well, we can also load a bump map. What bumping does is basically make the scratches go, or at least the black values, make the black values go inwards or outwards a little bit. So this means we get a little bit of depth inside of those scratches. So the scratches are a little bit carved in or coming out, really depending on what we type in here, the bump amount. We can go like 5 centimeters. We can also go in the other direction. We can go minus 5 centimeters. So at one point they will be carved in, and on the other hand, they will be just simply standing out of the material. Maybe let's look this up here in the live preview, and maybe, I mean, the black and white values are not so strong in this picture, so we could enhance this here in the bump map. First of all, let's turn it on. We could enhance this a little bit if we just simply take a colorizer here again. This has nothing to do with anything. This is just really only to make the blacks a little bit more black and the whites a little bit more white, so that the bump channel can use this a little bit better, or recognizes the scratches a little bit better. And if we turn this white value here a little bit more to the left, you can see a lot of the scratches are simply gone. But with this method, we can also say, okay, we don't want to have all scratches to have a bump. We just want to have some of them to have a bump, and the other ones are just simply not so much carved in as the rest, as it basically is in reality. And let's take another look here at the live preview, and let's see what we get. And here we can also see, okay, in which direction the bump map will go, of course, if they are now carved in or standing out, those scratches. And right now they are really carved in, as you can see. So we really get nice scratches as they should be. Bump mapping and displacement is basically the same. So we could also use here a displaced material. The only real difference is that bump mapping is fake. So it's not really deforming geometry. It's just simply V-Ray that is calculating that. With a displacement map, the geometry, so the cube gets really deformed, and yeah, so V-Ray is really deforming this geometry in the end with displacement, while with bump mapping it's not. So it's just simply fake, but we can still see it, and of course bump mapping will always render a little bit faster than we're using a displacement map. Also, the problem is, if you want to use, and which we will do later on sometimes, when we use a displacement map, we have to use UV mapping as mapping method, otherwise it won't work. This means we need to make later on a UV unwrapping. This means we need to unwrap this complete cube or whatever object we are using in the scene or want a texture, and then texture it in Photoshop and stuff like that, and then we use the same map as a displacement map. But we will get to this later on. Don't get too confused now. Just know, okay, bump mapping is something that doesn't really deform geometry, but still gives me some kind of depth going in or going outwards, depending on what kind of value we're typing in here, minus or a plus value. Okay, so let's make another render and let's see how this looks with this bump mapping. Alright, so here's what we get with the bump, and yeah, I think it's a little bit of a heavy bump, but I really just want to demonstrate you. So this was the shot before only with 0.67 scratches, so a glossiness value from the scratches of 0.67, and this is now 0.67 with 5 centimeter bump. So as you can see, we really enhanced this. Of course, even thought the bump might be a little bit too high, but this was really only to demonstrate how this can look. So this was the bump channel. I think the next thing that I will show you is the blend material, which is also really, really important. And let me delete this bump map first of all here from the silver material. And also let me delete, oh maybe let's just leave it so you can have a closer look when you get this complete scene file. And we can delete this one here. And we can delete this one here. Maybe we need this one. Okay, create shader, VrayBridge, advanced material. And we will now create some kind of glass material. So let's just go specular layer, deactivate the diffuse, deactivate the refraction layer, and we should already have a nice glass material just by turning those two switches on. We don't really need to change much. I mean, we could change here specular layer a little bit, reflection glossiness down to 0.99. What I also want to show you, if you want to have some kind of frosted glass, you can of course go down here way more, maybe do something like, well, this doesn't really matter. Let's maybe leave it at 0.99. And if you go down here in the refraction layer with the glossiness, let's say 0.75, we will start to get some kind of frosted glass, as you can see here in this preview. Here probably it takes a little bit longer. Glass is always something that takes in every single render engine a little bit to calculate because of the refraction that is going on. So the renderer just simply has to calculate first of all, okay, glass in front, so the reflection there, then okay, going through the glass, the refraction there, then the refraction on the other side, and then the reflection on the other side. So this is why glass takes just a little bit till it gets calculated. And as you can see now we have some kind of frosted glass. We could now also take down a little bit the glossiness here to maybe to 0.75, and then we would get really, really nice frosted glass here. Maybe something that you want to use in the bathroom or something like that if you're ever building a bathroom, or maybe just for a simple normal glass that is has one of those frosted materials. But anyway, this was just something that came to my mind that I said where I thought, okay, this might be interesting for you as well. Okay, what we can do now is just simply we create, or we load a texture. So we create a new shader, VrayBridge advanced material. And we go diffuse layer and load one texture that I have prepared. It's just simply the ZeroToHero logo. And what we can do now, this material weight sounds a little bit crazy because this is basically the alpha channel. And what you can do with an alpha channel is if you have a black, you always need to use a black and white map here as well. So right now it looks like this. But as soon, let's say I only want to cut out the ZeroToHero and want to get rid of the white background. What I can do is just simply load the exact same map here because it's black and white already. And as you can see what's happening if I load this here, the white background gets completely deleted away and everything that stays there is only the ZeroToHero logo. And it's also good that we have loaded this here in the diffuse color, or that we have loaded here black and white map in the diffuse, because all we have now in the diffuse channel is basically a black color, even though these are letters, but they are completely 100% black. So if you want to now create a metal material out of these letters, we can just simply tick on the specular layer, go here Fresnel IOR something like 10, And then we just simply try to get some kind of gold material in. Maybe let's go here a little bit to the brownish, orange colors here. And then we try to tweak in here a little bit of some kind of goldish color. Something like that maybe. Might be too dark. Really doesn't matter for this preview purpose, to be honest. And then we click OK. And as you can see, now this whole thing turns into a gold ladder. Okay. So let's say what we also want to do is, I have it already loaded here, the ZeroToHero logo here in the color channel. We can now just simply drop this here onto our cube, check the mapping. This is how the mapping would look right now. I don't really like it that way, to be honest. Let's maybe get rid here of the rotation. And also here, well, let's maybe rotate it a little bit more. Well, that wasn't the right rotation. This one looks pretty good to me. Let's do it like this, minus 90, and then we can do it a little bit smaller, maybe something like 1010. And let's bring it a little bit better into place, by just playing here with those offset values. And we might look okay like this. I mean, it's really just a preview. Maybe let's even make it a little bit smaller. Let's make it 8.8. And then we just simply adjust this whole thing, maybe something like this. Okay, perfect. Okay, so what we're trying to create, let's say I want to have the background, so everything where it's white right now, even though this has nothing to do with the color, it could also be red in the background. Let's say I just want to have a glass material in the back, and this ZeroToHero logo I want to have gold. The problem is, if I drag here the glass, I can't put anything else here anymore. I mean, I could drag this on there and put it right here, but this wouldn't really help, to be honest. When this material gets applied after this one, it will always render the last material that got applied, or the last shader that got applied. So I can only say, okay, I want to have the glass when I delete this, or I want to have my ZeroToHero on there. And if I put the ZeroToHero on there now, you can see that the background is just simply empty, because we used an alpha map, and all I get to see is only the ZeroToHero logo, like we mapped it. So the cube is completely gone because we're using an alpha map, so everything that is white is just simply gone, and everything else just simply stays here. Okay, so this is what basically happening here. I think the render time is here a little bit long with the alpha channel and so on and so on. So I don't really have to preview this. I think you can see it by this little preview here pretty good as well. So let's say I want to have the background, so I still want to have this cube visible, but I want to have it made out of glass. So what I can do is create shader, VrayBridge, and use a blend material. So I drop this blend material in, and our base material is of course the glass, because this will take up a lot of space and is our basic cube. So as a base material, we'll take this here, this glass. Let's rename this glass, and this here silver, maybe. Sorry for that. Sometimes I'm really lazy about those stuff, but you really should start right from the beginning to name stuff, so you later on can find stuff really, really easily. And we call this just simply gold ladder, or gold zero, whatever. And now we go into our blend material again. We have already dropped in as a base material our glass, and then we tick this on, use material code material, and as a code material we'll use this gold zero. And as you can see, what's happening now, that the ZeroToHero gets mapped onto the glass, and depending on the mapping method that we have here, the ZeroToHero will just simply be exactly where we want it to be. And we render this, and let's see what we get. So as you can see, we have now a cube made out of glass, and over it we have mapped the ZeroToHero logo in golden letters, which is pretty nice and will come in handy very, very often. When we start with the product shots later on, we will definitely need this blend channel, so we will work with it definitely a little bit more. I just wanted to show you how this whole thing looks. Maybe let me get here a full render. I will just simply set the threshold here for now to 0.005, so I get a faster render, and I will show it to you as soon as it's finished. Well, right, so this is the final render that we get, and as you can see, looks pretty cool, I think. I mean, it's just gold above glass, but I think it looks definitely fine. So this is what you get with a blend material. The next thing that I want to show you, I think we should just simply move on and work with the blend material when we get to the product shot that we will be creating. The next thing that I want to show you is a two-sided material. Two-sided material is something that you would use for grass, leaves, stuff like that. Because what a two-sided does, you can load a front and a backside material. So first of all, what we need to create is create shader, VrayBridge advanced material, as you might have guessed. And in the diffuse layer, we can load, let's say, some kind of grass straw. So let's load this grass straw, and let's just simply hit Control, left mouse click, drag and drop, duplicate this. And then we can go to the two-sided material and load in the front channel. Let's call this maybe straw 1 and call the other one straw 2. And then we can just simply load this here into the, where is it, two-sided material. Let's just simply call this two-sided. And here we can load straw 2. And depending on this translucency color, so right now it's at 50%, we will see more. If I turn this to white, we will probably see more the front side, or is it the other way? I'm not sure right now. And if you turn it to black, we will see the other side more. If you leave it at 50%, we will just have a middle translucency of those both straws, and this just simply makes it look a little bit more realistic. Let me show you a quick render that I made a while ago. So here you can see this render that I made, I don't know, I think it's 3, 4, 5, 6 years old now. Probably can see that, yeah, it's 4 years old. But here I use the exact same method for the straws and for the dandelions. Oh, well, there are no dandelions, sorry. Oh yeah, there are some dandelions, but only leaves, I think. And some clay. And here I use the exact same method, and as you can see, you really get a little bit more of a realistic look. I mean, I think the shot looks really, really good, and this was the exact same method. So if we would drop this now here onto this object, this wouldn't really help much, because most of the time we just simply map this onto a plane, and there it really starts to work. And to really see what's going on, that this really has some kind of translucency, it lets a little bit of light through, which makes it then a little bit more realistic. We would also need to only have one area light in the scene or something like that, because then this method really starts to shine. I just really wanted to show you two-sided material. I would really only use, I mean, we will go through this a little bit more when we're starting with exteriors, but this is really something that you would use for leaves and grass straws and so on and so on, all the kind of materials that have a little bit of translucency. And the last thing that I want to show you in this little, well, let's say smaller advanced tutorial, because you will learn so much when we really jump into this product shot lightning, because we will use them a lot of those methods over and over again, is I want to show you the SSS2 material, because this is also really important. So I wanted to show you first of all here what an SSS material looks like. So we can use this for all kind of stuff, but most of the time SSS gets used for skins, all kind of plastics, maybe milk for sure. It has nothing, I mean, what it lets you do basically is just simply that you can see through this material a little bit. And then at a certain point, it just simply stops, depending on our settings. So SSS material is really something that we would use for milk or something like that. We can't use a two-sided material that has also some kind of translucency, of course, but it's just simply not two-sided. This is really a complete different topic. So this is called SSS subsurface scattering, and yeah, this is exactly what's happening. The subsurface gets scattered. So when we open up this SSS material for the first time, by the way, we can also create one if we go create shader VrayBridge Advanced Material and then jump into the refraction layer here, then we have also an option to enable SSS and enable volume fog. Even though volume fog is something else, and we will talk about this later, because I really want to show you the important stuff for now, and as we go on, we really jump into the rest. So you can do this in an advanced material. This was all I wanted to show you. But the SSS, it's called fast SSS2 material, and this is because it's definitely faster than when you do it with an advanced material. So the ground settings is something like milk, and really depending on our lighting settings, of course, we will see how this milk material works or does not. I will just simply make a really quick test render so you can see this a little bit better, what's going on. And let me render this quickly. Something weird is going on here. Why? Did I do anything wrong? I don't think so, to be honest. Maybe I did. Did I change some of the render settings? Who knows? Maybe. Okay, I will just simply pause the video and show you the render when it's finished. Oh, sorry, it was completely my fault. We get this pre-pass here. As you can see, V-Ray is calculating a pre-pass down here. And this is because of the SSS material. Because you can, here in the SSS material, you can check the pre-pass rate. When you put this a little bit up, you will probably get a little bit more realistic results, but also the render time goes extremely up. So we will just simply work with -1 pre-pass right now and wait for the render to finish. So this is what it looks like right now. So you can already see that the light goes a little bit through this material and lights it also a little bit up from the inside. The problem is just simply that this is a little bit noisy. So I would just probably need to up here a little bit. Maybe the GI subdivisions. Let me check this. Yes, I definitely have to. Let's set this here to 128. What we can do to get maybe a little bit of a better SSS effect, we can just simply up the scale here. So let's up the scale maybe to something like 5, and this will definitely have a great impact. So let me render this quickly. When you look here at the Chaos Group homepage, they have always really nice examples, and this is always also perfect to explain for me. Here you can see what the scale is doing. This example shows the effect of the scale parameter. Note how larger values makes the object appear more translucent. In its effect, this parameter does essentially the same thing as the scatter radius parameter, but it can be adjusted independently of the chosen preset. We don't have any presets in V-Ray for Cinema 4D right now, so this is what they are talking about, the Max and Maya version, but this doesn't really matter. The images are rendered without GI to better show the subsurface scattering. The single scatter parameter was set to retraced solid. The marble white presets was used for all images. So as you can see, a scale of 1 is this, a scale of 10 produces something like that, and scale 100 really starts to make it extremely plastic, translucent, and so on and so on. And we have these different ray tracing methods here as well. So we can choose here ray trace refractive from none to simple. Simple will probably render the best. Retraced, solid, and refractive will just simply give more realistic result by the cost of render times. And then we really just simply have to decide, okay, is the render time really important for us, and does it look realistic enough, or do we need to do something else? And as you can see, also with the scale, already this product starts to give back some light to the floor as well, because the light goes in, bounces around, and also goes back out of the object as well. This is why we get here on the floor also a little bit of a yellow look. I think the scale was here definitely a little bit too high from what I have seen already, and I think I want to go with an IR of 1.33 and also maybe up here the specular glossiness a little bit, so just the basically glossiness to 0.81. And the scatter radius will just simply tell, okay, how much light can get through this till it hurts a certain spot. So if we up this here to 500, maybe you can see this gets more and more translucent. And if you go down maybe to 50 or something like that, it probably starts to get from milk to something like butter, or butter would maybe be at 10 centimeters maybe. So not a lot of light goes through it, but a little bit, that's for sure. So maybe let's just simply leave this as a normal value at 100, and let's maybe, what kind of method did they use so that I can reproduce this a little bit? Can Can be adjustable. The image was rendered with RGI, better show the subsurface scattering. The single scatter parameter was set to ray traced solid. Okay, so we just simply set this here to ray traced solid as well, and we will just simply get rid of the GI, and let's see what we get, and maybe you can see a little bit better what's going on with this SSS material. So this is what it looks like. I mean, it's just simply really translucent, to be honest. So we can't really see much. We would probably need to use the exact same object as here to really get a good result. And as you can see, they probably only used one area light because there's only coming one big light from the side here to light this up to really make this SSS look a little bit more visible. But you can see on the picture what an SSS material, subsurface scattering material, is doing. We can also play around with the color. We can play around with the scatter radius. That also has, of course, some impact. SSS materials is really, I think, a little bit harder to handle, but we will jump later into this and really try to create all kind of SSS materials like milk, like Coca-Cola and stuff like that. Because if you look at Coca-Cola, you first of all you see that it's black, but when you maybe sip a little bit out of a bottle into a glass, you also see a little bit of those brown tones and stuff like that. So you can handle this with SSS materials as well. And later on we will make and create such materials as well, so that you can see, okay, what is the workflow and how can I achieve those looks, because you probably will need all of this stuff in the future at some point. Maybe not for Coca-Cola, maybe not for milk, but maybe for something else. But then you have definitely at least a direction where to go with this complete stuff. So I hope this was a little bit of an introduction to advanced shader and texturing techniques. Even though we are still not completely there, there's still a lot more to come, and I just simply want to show you this all in a complete product shot workflow, and then we will just simply get into it and learn a lot of other stuffs, how we can do things, and so on and so on. And if you have any questions, please really feel free. I mean, first of all, watch definitely the next chapter, but if you then still have questions, please jump into the forum, talk to other people, talk to me, let me know what I can do better. If you need maybe another tutorial or another video, or maybe you just have a simple question or whatsoever, just simply drop it in the forum. This is what it's there for. Okay, so perfect, and I catch you in the next chapter.